Live and in color. Look at how long my beard's getting. Goodness. Oh, I look like Insanity Claus. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers to some, and also known as he who runs at both ends, Running Man. Um, to those select few who know the story, I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And with all that's done, I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. And that's nothing to joke about. But being in sort of a playful mood tonight. Hello, Sarah. How are you? Good to see you. Um, I was like, well, it's been a couple of days and, been cutting firewood and dealing with massive headaches. I'd be a great campfire host. You'll bring, okay, and I'll share some too, Sarah. Thank you, Miss Sarah, for your compliments. Um, I after just got done doing a, sort of a marathon. Hey, Barry, uh, Kimosabi. I think, isn't that what you, Kimosabi? That's what I'm saying. Hello, Kimosabi. The Lone Ranger. Yep. But anyway, I thought after kind of going through, some headlines and looking around and talking with a couple of people this last couple of days, um, over the last few years, some people have told me that I'm just being a Scrooge because I don't put up a Christmas tree or anything. And it's like, I have Christmas trees planted on my property, and every time I go by one of them, I go, hey, there's one that didn't end up in somebody's front yard or in the front room. But having sort of the hermit's kind of life thingy going on, um, it's not that there isn't time for Christmas. It's just that um, without family and or friends, that are close, Christmas time kind of is contagious between people. If you know, if like going into town and hearing Christmas music and people humming and Santa Claus on the corner and all that kind of stuff. And this year was, of all the Christmases I can remember, except for the one where I spent Christmas in jail, that this has been one of the oddest Christmases I've in my 68 years that I've had to. I don't know if it's been the pleasure to have experienced. So, in the title of this program, Scrooged for Christmas. And with all the stuff that's going on, Ebenezer Scrooge, and I rewrote and Dickens's Scrooge and turned it into a play. And we did it several years ago, 2 years in a row, I might add, at Thomasville on Stage and Company. And we had good reviews and all that good stuff. But so I have played the role of Scrooge. And I look at myself and I go, no, I'm not that person who, that Scrooge was. But there are people in this world that are exactly like Scrooge was portrayed in the book by Charles Dickens. So you think that here's this gentleman who's had all these things and he's had visions, the three ghosts, and it doesn't really dawn on him, after the first ghost, who takes him to when he was a child. And he has this little boyish, oh my good, there's my friend that I used to play with, and there's old Tom, and there's Miss Sally, the girl I fell in love with, and and then I had to tell her later on to go away. And so then the ghost of Christmas Present, where he's taken to Tiny Tim's house and sees him with his crutch and has um, they're all sitting around the table eating porridge, nothing fancy. And then as the third ghost comes, takes him off, and he goes, Spirit, where are you taking me now? And the spirit says nothing. He just gestures and points with a bony finger. But Spirit, where shall we go now? Which do you take me to see? And the spirit takes him to the future, where all the, all of the uh, Bob and the kids are, sitting around crying, mourning the death of Tiny Tim. And it breaks. It starts to get into Ebenezer's heart, and I never knew he was so sick. I didn't know that the family was so poor. And the spirit makes him look, and he goes, "No, spirit, I wish to look away. Don't make me look at these things." And he forces Ebenezer to look at what he has been responsible for. And to where his nephew um, and is having a party in honor that Scrooge is dead. And there's the incident where his maid and the char maid and the folks around, no, nobody misses that mean old man. They're selling his clothes and his bedclothes. After he's not even dead yet, and they're selling literally the robe off of him that he died in. And of course, the last scene there with the last spirit is he's looking at his demise. He's looking at his own gravestone. And he realizes that whether he's going to die or is dead, that he realizes in his lifetime, he just could have been a better person, period. However it turns out, he just could have been a better person. Now, in that story of Scrooge, we look at how things have turned out this last year in 2020. And it's sort of like we had this birthing, and we were all kind of sort of having fun, staying home a little bit, and now we got to the heart of the matter where we're into the present, and the present is still that, it's more mask and more this, and the economy's down and people are starving it, And so now we're at Christmas time, and the spirit of Christmas, in my opinion, was Scrooged from us, the singing, the merriment. I mean, there's generally a feeling, even in my uh, uh, hermitness down here in the country, I still can feel Christmas, although I don't put up a tree or anything like that. I will hum tunes and sing songs, and because I can feel that, to me, the child of Christmas, it wasn't about the presents, but it was going to like midnight mass, and it was about having eggnog with a little, with a little bourbon or maybe a little rum in it, and sneaking around and just and watching the old Christmas trees that had the bubbles and stuff, and it was just being around the tree. Now, I grew up in Tampa, so it wasn't like there was snow on the ground and all that. Although first 7 years I was raised in Dayton, Ohio, and I remember what the snow was like there. So, but anyway, so through all of this and losing family and not being near anyone or anything like that, over the last few years, I've just, I used to boohoo and get depressed at this time of year. And I was like, I got to grow out of that. But at the same time, even though my sharing of Christmas has been limited over the last few years with other people, because I don't know near as many, and I'm kind of get stuck here at the house sometimes. And this isn't any kind of complaint or anything, but it's my observation and how I have evolved over the many years of being without family for Christmas and so forth. And anyway, so but the bottom line of this year, there, as much as I wanted to sing a Christmas song, it just didn't feel right. And it's not that I had anything against it. That's not the point. I don't have anything against Christmas, but Christmas to me is singing. It's a sleigh ride, even though in Tampa, we did hay rides, and it was going to the old folks' home and singing carols. And it was getting together with the YMC or the Catholic Youth Club, the CYC, and doing stuff around Christmas time. And as a Boy Scout and a Cub Scout, we used to do little special Christmas shows and things. And until a couple of years ago, as a puppeteer, I would donate my time and do Christmas shows and do puppet shows and things for around Christmas time for anybody, right? So this year, Christmas just wasn't in the air. I mean, as much as I was like where's Christmas this year? Even for this old Scrooge of a dude down here that lives in mostly solitude, or wait a minute, where's Christmas though? The spirit of Christmas. And so my friend who came over, and I'm wearing this brand new jacket that I got as a Christmas present in honor of my friend Rob, and his children put little they made Christmas cards for Mr. Dave, and he brought them over along with a plate of food and stuff. Oh my God, thank you, Rob, and to their family. And he said he was going to come over, but I was like, okay, if you don't, I'm cool with it. I honestly, he called me up and said, come on over and eat with us. But I was seriously cutting firewood, and I'm using it right now. It's a little chilly down here, but so it wasn't that I was trying to be a Scrooge and not be around anyone. I was seriously needed to cut firewood. And so he understood that, brought me a plate, but he brought me, homemade cards from his girls. And I talked about them around Thanksgiving, where we played Frisbee in the yard. So the one little girl, she drew the dog for Duggar. She drew me, and she drew this circle between the two of us, and then her and then her sister. And the circle was the Frisbee. And I was like, was sitting here, tears running down my out of my eyeballs. And I'm thinking, I've only met these little girls once. And, her card is, I love you, Mr. Dave, thank you. Let's play Frisbee, and oh my God. And the other one's only 2. And she's like scribbling, but, could mark down what she wanted to say. And she was like, hugs. And I was like, so even as I'm not a dour, sour old man. I have my opinions, but, it wasn't about, if anything, for me, it's not interrupting someone else's Christmas, So it's not that I don't like Christmas or anything, but, I just don't see the need living by myself. So with that said, though, in that every year, even though I have been at times a few years back a little grumpy around Christmas because I wanted to participate and there wasn't anybody to participate with. And then I got, went into this, screw Christmas. I really got Scroogey, myself. And then I realized, nah, we can't do this. We're just not going to do that. So I would find somewhere where I could feel Christmas in the air, And, it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas, not this year. And so when I'm talking to my friend, I was like, he goes, the spirit of Christmas just wasn't the same this year. And he said, even talking with some of his other friends and folks, and everybody had a nice Christmas, those people who shared, gifts and stuff and, got together for a meal but so other people have noticed that this year just didn't feel right. Now, when you in science or whatever, you try to quantify something. So you say, well, it just doesn't feel right. Well, what does that feel like mean? Is it there's no songs, nobody's whistling carols, there's no activity in the street. What does that mean to you? You know what I mean? So, in thinking about this tonight and, yesterday as well, and cutting firewood these last couple of days, I was thinking to myself, there just something just isn't there this year. It's an intangible feeling, but there seems to be a feeling that Christmas just wasn't in the air this year. So I think we got Scrooged out of it, by those other people who are Scrooges in themselves, who want to ruin whatever it is they think. But, I thought to myself a couple of days ago, I was like, it'll just be another day, sort of like me and blah, blah, blah. I'll be cutting firewood probably, which is sort of a tradition in a way because um, we've had some really hot Christmases where it was like 80 degrees here on Christmas days. So, and we've had some Christmas days, or, like this morning, it was in the 20s. And for South Georgia, that's pretty chilly. But the idea, though, that, you know, trying to whistle a tune in the local store just didn't feel right. People were buying things, but they were buying things of necessity, not Christmassy. People were cordial to each other in the local, stores that I frequent here. People were very nice and everything was, cordial, but there wasn't that Christmas thing there. And it's really hard to quantify it. Like, okay, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, was it a 3? Were people, people were happy, people were getting along, but what was different this year? I didn't see, not to say that there aren't, mind you, but the people I met, even hard times, whatever, they were coping, they were getting by. So everybody's like, you know, uh, you know, hunkered down in a way, but getting by, everything's groovy, and you know, but that extra special something in the air to me and some others was just missing this year. And I'm going to look at y'all's remarks, but in the idea though that something has just changed. And now we could blame it on the 21st and all the alignments and the conjunctions and the adjunctions, and we could just say, well, it's our politicians and everybody, scaring us to death to stay home. And, where we would normally go out, like for me, I'd go into town and I'd just walk the streets around Christmas time, just window shopping and, nothing in particular. You know, didn't do it, couldn't do it. One of the local towns where they usually set up lights and everything, and you drive through with your car, but people do get out. They didn't want to do it, and they were telling people to mask up, and people just didn't want to leave their freaking house. And it's like, hmm. So for whatever these folks did to us this year, it does seem different. Now, I don't feel depressed or anything like that. And people that I've talked to about this, none of them are depressed but the remark has been that Christmas just doesn't feel right this year. Anyway, so moving along with that, and the cards that when I was on Milky Way Tribe Soul thing earlier this evening, actually it was yesterday now, but I kept pulling this one card as I was shuffling, and it was the snake. And the biggest thing about the snake medicine, folks, is that, um, there are times when we have grown with our spirits, our physical or whatever, and we outgrow our skin, much like a snake does. Now, there are people going to go, oh, he's talking about reptiles and stuff. Just stick with the snake shedding its skin, because as we leave this year of 2020 and move into the next, the best thing, and over the last couple of days, has sort of been like, it's been the snake card showing up. I mean, like, what? Page would open up. It's on the snake. Okay. So it means to get rid of or leave, shed our skin from this year, which is the old one, and get rid of whatever that is that's bugging us, or whatever darkness, however you want to look at it, negative feelings, the fact that we were Scrooged out of the holidays energetically, whether people still got together and had, and but there is this worldwide phenomenon that usually at Christmas time, no matter what kind of a Scrooge mood I may be in, I always am able to feel the spirit of Christmas a couple of days before and a day or two after. I mean, I just caught up in it. Even whether I'm not doing anything, watching anything, it's in the air, it's in the quantum, it's in the universe. And it was missing this year. And was kind of looking for it, like, how things going here and people and this and that. Okay. So let's shed this. Let's not, this is an observation from an old geezer, in that it's a strange Christmas in because of the energy thing. We all know we're going into a different energy cycle. We all can feel something's coming. We don't know what. But how we can experience the new if we've got too much baggage of the old. And in reading one of the cards, it was responsibility. So with this knowledge and with what we have to, our awareness of whatever's happened, responsibility is the ability to respond to situations, how well we can adapt, and whether or not when we adapt to whatever's going on, whether or not we sell us a part of our soul in the process. So we have to be careful, always, not just now, but always, that when we're, trying to get better in the universe, we shed our old skin and we take care. With the shedding of the old skin, if you've ever seen a snake before it molts, they're cloudy over their eyes and they can't see real well. And then all of a sudden they just go somewhere and the skin peels right off and they're a brand new shiny snake, like it just come out of an egg. We need to look at next year that way. We're gonna say that regardless of being Scrooged, gonna you know gonna be responsible, and I'm gonna be able to respond to a situation. The card said that we should not panic, and many of us have been saying the same thing, whether it's in a card reading or not. But there was don't panic, and the card of the mountain lion, which is that we should think of ourselves and be brave and stand up for that which we believe in. Don't panic, but be of lion-heartedness, being strong in the heart, and sticking with it. So in other words, if somebody comes up and says, well, they're going to shame you into not taking the vaccine. And I'm going to just say, well, I've got mine. Did you get yours? Well, yeah. Wait, wait a minute. What if somebody gets the flu? They've had it, went to the hospital, everything's good, they're clean. Now, are those people considered okay? Now, them folks are telling us they should get a shot anyway. But if they've already had it, then they're immune to it, right? So, but who says that they're okay? You know what I mean? Well, I got my shot and they gave me this little card. Well, yeah, but I had the flu and they didn't give me shit. They gave me shit, but so there's going to be some crazy blowed out stuff. And I would just say, just tell people, well, I had the flu 6 months ago, and I'm okay. I don't need a shot. Did you get yours? Well, yeah. Are you still living? Yeah. Well, there was a thing that was read earlier that out of all these people that have been vaccinated, only 3%, get this, only 3% of the people that got shots have had some type of reaction to it. What? Well, you say, well, that's only 3 out of 100 or something like that, 3%. Uh, well, wait a minute now. I'm sorry, but that seems to be, well, it's perfectly safe. Yeah, but 3% of the population already, that's the ones that we've learned about, have had some type of allergic reaction to whatever vaccine they've been having. So, in this bounciness of what's coming up, we're going to have to wade through this mess. And each person, regardless of, I don't say regardless of where you live, but it will become where you live will determine what the rules are. Okay. You can go into the local store here in Meigs or in Coolidge, and nobody's making you put a mask on. But if you go up to Tifton, which is about 50 miles from here, the city council put out a thing where everybody had to have a mask, and otherwise you were going to get a ticket, you know. And it's like, what? And if you don't, we're going to toss you in the hoosegow if you, 2 or 3 times. Anyway, so it used to be open. Now it's not. Now it is, and now it isn't. And over here it is, and over there it ain't. It's nuts. People are going wacko. So we have to just maintain a calm through this. But for some people, they're going to have to make some kind of decision for themselves, their children. And, we need to be brave of the heart, lion hearted. So, and stay strong, because how else are we going to, stand up as a population and say, sorry, we do not comply. Forget about sovereignty, forget about anything else. I refuse to comply to this insanity. That's all. Now, in that last couple hours when I did the Milky Way Soul Tribe, I had a card that got pulled out, and it's Coyote. And I didn't mention it on that show, but I'll mention it here. And Coyote, just think about Wile E. Coyote trying to do the same damn thing over. And, Acme has made a lot of money, from Wile E. Coyote, but I always wondered where, did Wiley have like a credit card or something? Or anyway, like Fingerhut? Anyway. But the idea, though, but in this new time, they're going to try the trickster. Okay. Coyote is the trickster. So they're going to, try to sell us a bill of goods. And we're going to have to be able to decipher what that, if it's nonsense or ain't it. Anyway, so lots of different perspectives, lots of different people, lots of different opinions, but we need to be careful about those people who are the deceivers, the tricksters, the ones that want to convince us that this is okay or this is oh, well, the percentage rate of people that have had ill effects of this vaccine is small. It's just 3%. Well, okay, figure that how many people that are, though. And what do they mean by adverse, Well, what about the people that were, well, I feel mildly bad there versus other people? Now, I did a video several months ago, and it was like where they were testing out this vaccination, and this lady got, sick, ill, and otherwise. And they asked her how she felt, and she said, I feel like my connection to God is gone. It was around in the news, and everybody was like, ooh. Now, that's been hushed up and kind of more or less put away. as well. That was just that one lady. There were several people in the earlier trials. Now, it took me 68 years to get here with my spirituality, and I'm still working on it. But you want to give me something that will disconnect my feeling towards Creator or my God or however you want to look at it. And you want me to voluntarily take this thing but only 3%. Well, just my flipping luck. I'd be I'd be the 3.5%. So, not to scare anybody, but these are things that folks are going to have to think about. And there's going to be some other stuff that are coming up. And, like, just in conversation, okay? There are those of the white hats are working over Christmas time, and, they're going to take down the swamp, and this is going to take place, and that person's going to get put in jail, and this is going to be like that. Okay, still waiting. You know what I mean? Now, but here's the thing. It's very possible that it will happen. It's very possible that it could happen. You know what I mean? It's more in the could column than not, because many people have had enough of all the shenanigans, and we got to start somewhere. So, in doing that, getting rid of the swamp or whatever, you all know pretty much what I'm talking about in that, and the president, blah, blah, okay. We know that there's shenanigans going on. So, in order for us to go into this next year, this next season, we need to strip off that old skin and let's show some shiny new skin. And let's show everybody that, I may be a little crazy and a little weird, but I'm strong in my convictions that I think everybody deserves a chance at this life. And that people who want to control us, they don't have the right, although they feel that they do. And so when you stop and consider for yourself, wait a minute, I'm going to go to work because I need to feed my family. I'm going to go to work and put up with this because in order for me to be a part of this society where I can have a house and food, and because, have to have a job to earn that I am aware of what the man's doing to us, but I still want to be an American citizen who can travel the roads, have a decent vehicle to ride in, pay their taxes, have a place to live, pay the water and the lights, and have food on the table, the basic necessities. So do I know that, that the world is, people are controlling us? Yes. And I choose to accept my role in society. I'm not so stupid that I don't see it, but I'm accepting it because at the moment I don't have an alternative plan. So because I wish to take care of my family and so forth, I will agree to these terms. Now, there are some people that don't ever see that. Well, I got me a job and I got me a wife and I got me a house and I got me an old fiddle and, everything. Thank God I'm a country boy, right? So, and they don't ever see past that. Well, so you got to work for somebody, okay. Somebody, government's going to take your taxes, death and taxes. We can, okay. So, but where does that lead us personally? I've known for a long time that I am my own person. I can tell somebody to go to hell. I can flip them off. I can write a nasty letter. I can throw a brick through their window. I could, get violent and but not for me. I can't. But the opportunity's there. If I want to go kill somebody just for the, it's really easy to do. There's a bombing in Nashville, and all this stuff. So, but what can we do for it? We take as much control as we can with our own life. Yeah, I've accepted over the years that I was going to work for somebody. Yeah, I had to go by the rules. Yes, I had, some of their stuff that, yeah, it was stupid and idiotic. Yeah, we all would look at each other and go, okay, but this is what we got to do in order to survive. Yeah, but at the same time, I've also looked at what, the pioneers and the native peoples have had to do to survive. Going and taking a job and doing whatever to make, some uppity schmuck rich, okay, but it's a whole lot easier than trying to grow your own food and to try to do this. And, you go shoot a deer and skin it. And when you open up that stomach sack and how bad it smells. And, I mean, oh boy, it literally, no pun intended, or maybe it takes guts. It takes some, cojones. It takes some fortitude. It takes lion hearted. Well, most people don't have to go kill their chickens or whatever, or gut a hog or shoot a deer or whatever and skin it and do all that kind of stuff. No, because there are other means because of our society. But if you break it down to the simple things, you go, well, I didn't have to sit in a deer stand when it was 23 degrees this morning and not see a deer. Didn't kill anything, got hungry, got cold, almost fell out of the tree stand. And then you come trudging back to the house and, you're back out in the woods again, hunting for a meal. So is it easier? Have we sold out? Are the people, in control of us? Where before we used to have a control over our own situation. But at the same time, it was really tough. People who made it through winters because they gathered up acorns and they made, acorn type bread because they didn't have enough corn or they didn't have this or that, or there wasn't any wheat. You couldn't buy any flour, So people got it. It was horrible back in the day, during the pioneer days, but they made it. Our ancestors made it. So whatever is going on right now, look at it like this. If you think it's tough, it is in a lot of ways now. Don't get me wrong. But let's shed our this reptile skin and for this year. And let's start out anew, at least with our thoughts. Yeah, there's going to be some of these same old problems around, but can you look at them with a newer point of view? You can make that decision now and go, I know it's crap, but I'm going to, whatever that different point of view is, I'm going to look at it. They Scrooged me out of the Christmas spirit. So I see where this is going. And I've made up my mind now that they may try to take the spirit away, but I'm still happy. I'm still here. I'm still trying to spread good cheer and smiles to other folk, amidst the crazy, nasty crap that goes on around us. I still see good in the world. I still see as much bumpiness as seems to be coming here in the near future, that we too shall survive like our pioneer, brethren did, in however they had to do it. So, just think indoor plumbing. All right. Just put that at the top of your list. And you go, Hawkeye, what do you mean by that? Listen, folks, until the toilet came about, I remember going to my great grandma's up in Ohio, and they had a 2-seater, as my aunt recalls, and that was her mother, or actually her grandmother. But that there was a 2-seater outhouse out in the barn, out in the shed, it was a big barn, stable, horses, stuff, But, I remember going out there and trudging through the snow when I was 4 or 5 years old and having to sit on that wooden bench and going, why do I have, let's go back into a house. So indoor plumbing, for those folks who have never had to, wad up the Sears Roebuck catalog, how many folks even know about that these days, right? And, when toilet paper went scarce, back here just this year, I was in the store the other day, and I noticed that there were a lot of paper products that were missing. And in opening up a new roll of toilet paper this evening, I realized what used to be a double ply was single ply. And I'm like, what? So it took twice as much toilet paper to get the same amount of, anyway, I was like, there's some weird stuff going on, let me tell you. So, but what should we do? We need to be responsible, which means our ability to respond to changing circumstances, how well we adapt. Now, adapting doesn't mean that we have to go along with stuff. Okay. I mean, hey, we're coming to your house and you're getting a shot come hell or high water. Well, I'm going to go where there's high water and make them come get me. But other people are going to have to be faced with, that reality sooner or later. But just sit down and think about the confusion that, you know, being a sovereign individual means. You could get your ass kicked by someone you don't even know or, expect. You could get fined, you could get shunned, you could get laughed at, and you could just go, but that's how I feel about this matter. Thank you very much. And without screaming, hollering, and jumping up and down, you just stick to your guns. Now, there are some people that are sticking to their guns about wearing the mask. And they're like, and pointing, look at that guy over there. You put your mask on. It's going both ways. So, but with this craziness and rockiness, the messages that keep coming out long and hard and strong, that we should not panic. We should stay strong of the heart, ground with Mother Earth, and help our fellow human beings as much as possible. And as Coyote, showing up today, and I tried to bury the card and it came back up again. So it's like Coyote says, listen, if you're going to keep trying the same thing over and over again, we trick ourselves into believing certain things. Like them people that are sold on the mask and are sitting around the house and driving in their cars with some of them people that started that way ain't that way now. And I applaud them for growing up and going, thank you. But them same people who started out that way are now standing up going, you're not going to make me put that damn mask back on. No, So what does that mean to us? That means that we're taking a stance and we're going to stick together on this. We don't want to fight, but, hey, when we start saying no, like I said before, you're going to get a shot. Take a picture of the person who's giving you the shot and say, now, if anything happens to me, you're the one that gave me this shot. Now, is this shot safe, or do you want to be held liable for being an accomplice in, premeditated murder? What? And they might not find any nurses to give the shots. But to the point, though, we make this personal to the people in our neighborhoods, not to some politician somewhere. Say, hey, you're going to give me that shot? What's your name and your badge number there? Sparky 8. And I'm going to take your picture for, just because. And, but if I get sick because of this, that you injected into me, so we start putting this on a personal level, things will change. We need to make it personal between individual people. If, in my opinion, I know Christmas is yesterday or the day before, but yesterday, I guess. But let's bring back, let's bring back the Christmas spirit, if you will, because they Scrooged us out of it and have changed the tone, not of just America, but of the world. And I say, I do not comply. That's how I feel. And so I'm shedding this skin of this year of the, the crappiness and the yuckiness out of here. Bye. Now, do I know that this next year could have some yuckies in it too? Of course we do. But as a snake knows, sometimes you got to crawl through the mud and the briar patch or whatever to get at a decent meal. And you have to lay in wait and be patient, And then when you do get your prey, you have to open up your jaws and swallow the whole thing, you know. But it's the biggest thing is let's shed our skin and start anew. And our responsibility is coming up. We learn how to adapt to the situation, whatever it may be. You know, there's a lot of interesting stuff about how much how much the farm and food production has gotten literally blown up this year. How many hogs were killed? How many chickens died? How many of this happened? So people who are used to having certain, you know, a good steak or whatever, or some pork chops, which me and Ducker had the other night, that just might not. If you live in a big city, you might not be able to get any of that. Now, out here in the country, there are hog farms all around here. There are chicken farms right down the road, you know. There are egg farms here. So um, we might not have, you know, everything we need here, but within our local community, there are enough farmers and so forth. We could barter to get by, you know what I'm saying? But people in the big city where that everything has to be trucked in, I'm kind of worried about how things are going because it's the world economy, you know, that globalism stuff. But what's happened to soybean, the soybean production is down when the usage of soybean has gone up. So the bank of what they had in reserves has been bought up by guess who? The Chinese. And because there are a billion of them, you know, and not so much of us, but so people who've been used to tofu and this, that, and the other thing, you may not get that. And, you know, it's the soybean is a base for a lot of other products. So if soybean production is down, Brazil's got in a drought, they're burning fields, they're plowing it under. And so if you're basing your dietary supplements, and many dietary supplements have soybean in them, then the whole world's going to suffer with that. I know they don't grow near as many soybeans around here in Georgia as they did. And the new news is coming up this spring, those farmers who may have, you know, been planting something else could very well grow soybeans. Why? Because there is such a plunge in the market from this past year, bad crops, rain, floods, and they're selling more of it than we're planting and reaping and so forth. So is this concerning? Sure it is. When they killed 250,000 chickens down there in Dade City, where I sort of grew up, and down there in Tampa, my sister still lives, that's just two chicken barns. Now, there are hundreds of chicken barns around here, and people say, "Oh, there was 250,000 birds that died." Yeah, but there are so many other birds and chickens. All they got to do is rehatch some eggs. The biggest thing they lost, yes, they lost the chickens, but the biggest thing that they lost were the barns and the cleanup. But I used to build hog parlors and chicken barns, so it's like get a crew down there, you know, and within a couple of weeks, the roof's back on, the shed's there, and in a couple of weeks, they will have hatched a bunch more, and because they have brooders and things. Anyway, but to the point though, what was reported was the 250,000 chickens that died. Yeah, okay. But that happens a lot in some of these places where this disease or that disease. But if you're living in a large community and you're dependent on that, you know, there's a million people live around the Tampa area, probably more. So 250,000 chickens, you know, how many people eat a chicken dinner every day, you know, or have some kind of chicken something? Well, that takes that out of the food chain. So, not to scare you, but you know, these are things that are actually real and are happening around us now. So, you know, planting a victory garden, making sure you got a couple of extra canned goods, or if you got a few extra bucks and you can buy this free dried stuff or whatever, okay. You know, but I would also say check where you live and see if anybody's growing anything. And if so, what? And if not, can you, you know, start putting seeds in the ground and pots in the house and in a window and they get some sunlight. They're trying to get rid of us one way or the other. So if it isn't the vax and it isn't this and it isn't that, but the fact that the food shortages are showing up planet wide as far as production and usage and that. So am I worried about it? Only in the sense that what we might grow here because of money will get shipped somewhere else that ain't here. And at the moment, the way things are going, um, tough titty said the kitty when it gave no milk. But anyway, um, the idea though that we would ship any product that is food related out of this country. Well, but the Chinese were going to make money off this. Sorry, we should keep it in the United States. But it's all about the commodity. It's all commodity this and commodity that. Yeah. But I'm sorry, but should we share with our neighbors? The stimulus package, for example, that everybody was, trying to get the prez to sign. And I'm like, no, we shouldn't be giving money to any other country. Nobody. No, we're going to get $600. Where's that going to go? I mean, it would help out little old me, but there are folks that $600 ain't going to, but we're going to send money to Iraq and, the Sudan and this place, that place. No, 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 no. You tell your congressmen, and that's what we should do is we should tell our Congress people, senators and stuff and go fix that. No, we're not. No, we in the United States are broke. You're not what taxes I do pay and have paid. You ain't sending my money overseas to nobody for no reason. I'm sorry. There are other countries, there are billionaires. Let Bill Gates, shovel off some of his money, but you're going to take the food and the money out of our mouth and spread it around the world because we're a globalist country and we shouldn't care about our own brothers and sisters in this country. We could fix that. We start calling in and telling people what we really think about that bill and what Nancy Pelosi and all them folks. We should start out and stand up with the lion heart from the mountain lion card that I drew earlier tonight and stand up and tell them, no, 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 no. You give those poor people in our country that money. You're going to we ain't sending another dime out of this country for any, it's going to have to be a really good reason that we all go, yeah, okay. But you know what? They can also, we could also donate to some of these countries if, Sudan needs, $25 million or something. Then why don't you have a fund for the Sudan? Do a MyFace page or something. Give me a GoFundMe, and let people donate money. But you're going to take it out of us. We're going to send it over. Are you serious? And the answer is they want to do that to us. You see what these people are up to. They want to starve us out even more by giving away assets that we don't really have. So how do we fix that? How do we start out anew? We say, Congressman, no, no, no. We will impeach your ass. No, no, we don't. No, we don't. We do not comply. We do not agree. You can give some of your money to them over there, but you ain't taking it from us. And I say we should fight for this one because it's clear and it's simple. Americans aren't getting what the rest of the world is going to get. And why should the rest of the world get it? Is it because we're being stingy? No. We're all having hard economic times. Understood. But I'm not going to I got a neighbor that needs a coat or a jacket, but I'm going to take a good coat and jacket and I'm going to ship it to somebody in the Philippines. No offense to the people in the Philippines, but you know what? No, I have a neighbor right over there that needs something now, but I'm going to pack up what I got and send it to somebody I've never met on the other side of the world, and it's going to make me feel better. No, it's going to make me feel like shit because the neighbor still needs, right over there. I could see him. I have to go by the house. But that don't seem to matter to these people. We changed that because that's some old reptile snaky shit right there. That snake oil they're trying to sell us. And we should all say no. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, don't matter. We should write our Congress people, senators, whatever, and tell them, oh, hell no. Because we, the people, say, mm-mm. How many people will actually do it, though? We'll see. I know it's pissed me off enough. And we have the Georgia election coming up, and we don't know if the damn, voting machines are any better now than they were, 2 months ago. But I'm going to go vote anyway, and I'm going to take a picture of my vote, because we don't get a copy, but because it goes into the machine to be tallied. And, we're just going to have to wait and see. But of everybody down here, ain't no, John Osloff or whatever his name is, and the black gentleman. Sorry, a lot of us are going, Warnock. Oh no, we do not want him. Whether for the to represent the state of Georgia, we're going, nah. And the locals down here on the sly are going, we used to hang them back in the day, them uppity. We used to hang them folk back in the day. But that's not what we should do. We should just not vote them in. But anyway. But if people are lying and cheating us from the top level down, it's how do we know that we're getting the truth? But that's what we should continue to demand. Regardless of whether people think Trump should give in or not, I say no. And for the simple reason that it hasn't gone through the courts. It's been shady. It's been screwy. The whole thing is a mess. And if for no other reason, I don't even care if they do the martial law thing. Why? Because this needs straightened out. And he doesn't need to roll over, because that's what happened back in the 2000 elections with the dangling chads and et cetera. And whether Bush should have got in or, it was the other guy, can't even think of his name now, but, he created the internet. But who would have started a war? Who would have done what? Who would have tried to do more for the planet? Not necessarily a carbon tax, but Al Gore seemed more in that respect, whereas we went into the bushes and ended up in war two years later. And later on. But to the point, look how much that cost the nation in American lives and, the whole thing, right? So, should the prez continue on with this until inauguration day? Absolutely. Because the system has to work. It's got to be we've got to be able to see the system for what it is, how bad it is, how privileged these people are. And we need to speak up with calmly, not go cussing them out, but we need to say, I don't agree with your policy. You're putting Americans in jeopardy while, whatever it is, but we need to do it calmly but forcefully and go, me and my friends are not going to vote for you again. If you want to stay in office, we will impeach you. We've had enough of this. So when people start saying they've had enough, but they're writing to their senators, they're sending messages to their congressmen, and they're letting them know we've had enough. Period. We want justice for all, not special justice for those select few. We want justice. We want truth. And I think regardless of whether you like Trump or not, the process needs to go through, okay? And it needs to go all the way. He does not need to concede It needs to go all the way through the process, because the process needs to be seen by everyone as to how messed up it really is, and how badly we need to fix it, and how we need to get people, you and me, together and go, listen, don't vote for that, vote for this or this or that. We need to, we need to voice our opinions more so, and in a way straight to them. And there were the squeaky wheel gets the grease, you know, gets the answer. But anyway, wow, at an hour, right on the dot. How about that? Hey Cherry, how are you? And David Castle, Delaney Pearl. First from going live on to full moon and two of my spirit friends' birthday. Cool beans, Delaney. I want to live in a tiny house community. Yep. That's what I wanted down here on my property, but it hadn't happened. Hey, Michelle. Man, bear, pig. Absolutely, David. Good, Cherry. Feeling a little better every day. Good, good, good. There's a lot of sickness and stuff going around. And some good friends have passed away this year. And anyway, Sarah says, eat dandelions, roses, would eat what the deer and rabbits eat for survival food. My grandma used to pick weeds, and that would be our salad. Yeah. Well, we can smoke it and we can eat it. I've got brownies in the freezer. Um, yeah, local only when you can get it. But here's one of the things. The local farmers market, I was having been raised in the farm community down here, actually, planting and harvesting tomatoes and boxing them and selling them and all that kind of stuff, along with watermelons and cantaloupes and all kinds of different veggies. But anyway, um, I went to the farmer's market one day, and knowing what I knew about the market, I was looking at some tomatoes, right? And I was like, oh, and he was, bragging about how, I said, where'd you get these tomatoes? Because, he brags about locally owned. He goes, well, I got a crate, some crates that were in cold storage. And I said, so from where? And he goes, well, they're out of Florida. So his sign at the farmer's market that says locally grown is a lie, because if you pick tomatoes, you got to pick them green, because if you pick them when they're ripe, they'll never make it to market without squishing or bruising or something. You got to get them in that early pink stage, and if you put them in a cooler at a certain temperature, they will sit there for a while. Now, so they pull out these tomatoes that are just starting to turn a little bit. And then by the time it gets to the market, they will have ripened into that, quote, beautiful tomato that you have. But the thing is it's not fresh. Well, I got this fresh tomato. It's probably a month old. No, yeah, it could even be older than that. What? It says fresh tomato. Yeah, but if you actually grew one and see what they did to get it to the store, so it's that nice, pretty tomato, it's not fresh. Okay, period. Just saying. you know, follow the trail, follow what it is. I got chocolate cupcakes. Yum, yum. Transition. Brian told me to remind me, or everybody actually. And I mentioned that the other night. Just found out tonight that my ex father in law died yesterday. I'm sorry. And my friend Rob that brought me dinner and brought those lovely, you know, Christmas cards from his youngins. His grandmother, um, that I had sat beside at Thanksgiving, and she passed away. I guess yesterday would have been a week ago. So he came over the other night, was just sitting around and didn't ask him what was up, but he just wanted to hang out. And we were talking and watching some stuff, and he was filling me in on farm commodities and so forth. And he goes, "Oh yeah, my grandma died the other day." And I was like, "What?" So he came over to get his mind away from it because it was too much. Um, and he just wanted a distraction, so I was his distraction, which that's fine. But I was like, "But how old was she?" And he goes, "Well, she had a stroke several times, and the fact that she was doing so good at Thanksgiving, we were just proud that Granny was around, but she didn't make it to Christmas." So it's like, So knowing how many people that have gotten sick this year, and many of them have passed away, and it's like, wow. And I look at the scoreboard and go, I wonder when my time's here. I'm not worried about it, but if I have another 60 years, I it's going to be hard to make that statement. But do I have another 20 years? And you go, well, okay, well, that'll make 78. That'll make me 88 years old. Holy crap, Well, my grandmother's was into her 70s, and Pops was in his 70s. And some of the Lee side of the family kin folks are still alive. So they've got a decent amount of longevity in them. So, but oh, holy crap, it's like, well, um, you look at life differently when not only when somebody passes that you love, but the fact that, the older I get, it's like, well, that's one that's staring me down, But rather than be afraid of it, I'm just, well, come on, Duggar, let's go for a walk, What the hell? It is what it is. I think the worst thing that bothers me about death at this point is not so much my dying, it's that the burden I'll place on somebody to take care of my remains. I'm more concerned about that than the actual dying part at this point. But anyway, so but going into this next year, there are certain things I need to take care of that I'm may have should have took care of sooner, but like will forms and things like that. Um, so that my mind will be at ease. And if something weird does happen to me, then it's taken care of. And I don't want to leave that burden to somebody else that ain't prepared for it. So I should do my bit part and prepare, you know, um, others for my departure transition. But anyway, that's not. I'm not trying to be morbid about this. I'm like, this is very practical knowledge here, um, and it's the right thing to do, you know. Um, but with that, so I'm actually looking forward to 2021. I For whatever reason, me and the dog are going to go, kayaking more, and I'm working on some other tiny little projects that, as I work on them, they're getting done. A little slow, but it's coming. So, regardless of my age and my handicap, I'm still cutting firewood. Slower, but still at it. Still want to go camping, but the weather's changed. Me and the dog are getting more better together. He still won't come worth a shit, but uh, so there are times when I'm going to have to put him on a leash, but we're learning. He's learning me, and I'm learning him, and he's got his own little doggy whine, and it's like we're learning how to communicate. So what's coming up in the future? I see we're going to learn how to communicate better to people that we know, when the truth comes out and for certain things, if they actually do, that we're going to be there with a little bit of sanity and a little bit of compassion and calm, more than they gave us. But that's part of the deal. Because with all this knowledge comes responsibility. And it is a responsibility. So we should take it seriously and gather as much information for ourselves. We're going to share it, but so we can be strong in who we are. And I think it's going to be a good year, one way or the other. And the goodness may end up that things get, and I don't mean war, but we're already at war. And I'm not for burning stuff down, but sometimes you got to burn the field so that the new grass will come out. And so, an old Elton John song, "Burn down the mission if you want to stay alive. It's the only chance for living," you know. So we got to make sure that the system gets torn, ripped, blapped, slapped, so we can fix it. And that's the best way to do it. Sometimes you have to just burn down the old shed. Tempted to do that to mine, but burn down the old shed. You got to rip out the old to fix it, or to put it new again. So I see this as a rebuilding time coming up. And with that, I see hope, you know. Will it get worse? Yeah, we might have to tear the rest of the shed down, and go, oh, well, we tried to save it. Well, but, so we might just all tie a rope to the corner of the shed and bring that sucker down. But, while we're there, we're going to grab some tea and have us a sandwich, and we're going to put the new shed up. Now, that's metaphorically, but to the point, though, that which might need to get torn down, is so that we can rebuild it, not like start over more or less, but we're going to keep the same footprint. We're going to keep the same style of roof, and that goes for a lot of things. So my friends, I love you. I do. I got to go put some wood in the fireplace. Oh, David Castle says, Sarah, Hawkeye said the other night that Brian would nudge him when he said passed away and preferred transition. Yeah, that's true. It absolutely is true. Thank you, David. Oh, by the way, speaking of Blissful Wizard, um, Santa Claus came to town and Talking Heads burning down the house. There you go, Sarah. Um, my phone autocorrected Nully to Nutella. I don't really like that Nutella, but I know there are folks that really do. But I was looking in the video and noticing how long my beard's getting. It makes me look like I got a fat neck when I don't. But anyway, um, yeah, I've never been a fan of Nutella. Just saying. But we are all transitioning. That's absolutely true. And with the new year, I'm trying to remember. There was several traditions that the um, Mexican folks that I know, from true Mexicans from Mexico, Mexican, not once or twice removed. I mean, and I was amazed at how many Chinese Mexicans and Japanese Mexicans there were. Like last name of Konichi. That is not a Mexican name, Konichi? No, 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 no. But even in Mexican traditions, I was thinking, well, people from Mexico are from Mexico, and not necessarily, like Americans, the melting pot, right? And then when I started meeting these people, it's like, oh no, my people are, from Japan. My father, he was from Japan, and my mother, she's Mexican, or vice versa. And oh no, my parents, they from, my mother, she's from China. Really? Yeah, my dad, he was Mexican. Oh, so it's like you think that America's the only one that's got like different kinds of whatever. And I was amazed at how many Oriental backgrounds that were actually in with the Mexican tradition. So my point to that is that the one of the people that I knew was Japanese Mexican. And so there was this Japanese culture of tradition along with the Mexican band. It was very interesting, but they both had to do with honoring the dead and preparing meals for them and including them and how we honor how you know our friends and family. Um, and there are those that shed tears, but they it when I looked at my friend, um, I was like, "Well, is this a sad day for you?" And she goes, "Well, you know, it's sad that they're gone, but I'm remembering them. I made my mother's spirit, these hoe cakes and presented them with a candle and a picture, along with the cross and so forth, and mother was Christian, and I did this in honor of her." And I thought to myself, oh my God, we Americans don't do that. I'm every year around, this time of year when my pops passed away, um, I think of how it affected our Thanksgiving and how we didn't want it to ruin, burying pops on a holiday and what everybody else, we wanted his brothers and sisters the opportunity to come down, from Ohio and so forth. So we had to wait a week, so Pops was in the cooler for a week before we could bury him, kind of thing. And, that was just a little odd in itself. But anyway, the idea of transitioning, though, versus passed away, we mention it in whatever ways that, down here in the South, he's passed on. He's not with us anymore, the Southern Baptist and that sort of thing. But anyway, religious. But the more I understand and have seen people pass over, and myself having had a couple of near death experiences, I realize that whatever is beyond this life is going to be totally different. And no matter how we prepare for it now, it's still going to surprise us. And so I don't suggest you go out and practice dying, but just meditate on what it would mean to have the transition. Now, that was really strange. A really bright light, like, wow, that was weird. And middle of the night, giant helicopters flying over the house with no lights. I mean, the double, the choppers with the, two sets of um, cargo kind. Anyway, so my my Christmas present was Pineapple Express, and I giggled when I found out that it was. Now, for those of you who might remember the movie Pineapple Express, it was okay, but it was the idea of what the weed Pineapple Express was, right? And so in that, it was like, wow, this is like supposed to be the killer. Well, now it's not the killer anymore. It's like, eh, down the chain. And I'm like, what? you know, oh no, this is considered the cheap stuff now. But it's Pineapple Express. Yeah, but this OG Kush over here, or this one, this is, cake. Oh, or Tangy, or, whoa. So, but the Pineapple Express, which got us all riled up a few years back, is like, eh. I just was like, okay, but I'll take it. I had fun with it anyway, you know. And so, whether or not it's supposed to be this excellent or whatever, and just interesting. Do their heads really talk? Max Headroom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's been 20 years since Pop's passed. Literally 20 years. Because he passed away in '99. So, but it's all groovy. In that watching his transition and watching my relatives react to how he made it and passed away. He died. He's gone to heaven with the angels. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, it's something that we shouldn't necessarily. It's hard on us when we know these people have passed. But again, I think this year, for the first of the year, everybody that we've known or loved, we put a picture up, light a candle, and sing happy tunes. We'll do like David Castle and dance around. Yep. So, my friends, I got to put fire in the thing and go out and get another armload of wood because it's really chilly down here tonight, this morning. And if I don't go take care of the fire and the wood and everything, the temperature drops quick here in the house. So, but anyway, I wanted to come on here tonight and not be a Scrooge about this because despite all the lack of special energy this year, I think, for those folks who have noticed it, we want to say I know we said it's like, something seemed different this year, but you know what? I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm going to, take maybe this lack of special, Christmas energy. We need to fix that, and just make, the uh the first of the year or New Year's. Okay, yippee, then let's have another New Year with the Chinese. Let's have, Easter coming up. Hey, we got stuff we can look forward to. And so, regardless of what this last year has been, let's look cheerfully upon 2021. It might be just as bad, but I'm going to look on it with optimism because I'm tired of being the pessimist all the time. I'm tired of being pissy all the time because of these other idiots. But it needs to shake out in the wash. We'll see. I have faith in us as a society. Now, if the ET comes and does some stuff, and there's been some strange things on the ET side, let me just say. A lot more pictures, a lot more other stuff, and it's just like this is going. We thought 2020 was interesting. This next year ought to be the gas. So, if they don't send us all to the gas chambers, I love you all. I do. Thank you. Continue your good work because I keep praying every single day that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the blessings, and a lot more out there in the universe. You learn that we're not alone. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. And in that law of three, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will continue to learn to accept and receive and to share the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. I think we're doing a good job. People who are waking up are woke up, and some of the woke up folks are being more woke. I think it's going to be good. The truth shall set us all free or make part of the population crazy as a coyote. And, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So, like Wile E. Coyote, we need to stay out of that business. Michelle, David Castle, Barry Chad, Sarah, I don't know if Mr. Laney's still in the house. Blessings to all of you all. Let me see who else I missed. Slightly slanted. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew I was missing somebody. But anyway, and Terry, yeah, yeah, okay. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and have a pleasant Sunday. But again, to what I said about the that spending bill the president's supposed to sign, I think we all think it's ridiculous, and that they should, seriously get a grip. We should get involved and tell them we think it stinks, and for them to fix it. No money goes to anybody but to us. That's the way I look at it. Is that being Scroogey and stingy? Maybe, but it would be downright pointless and brutal to Americans to send that kind of money overseas without first taking care of us. That's the bottom line. Those folks who supposedly work for us should honor us, okay? And they're not. They're not being respectful to us in any kind of way, because who in their right minds would send that kind of money out of the United States of America unless somebody's got a strange agenda? So tell your congressmen and tell your senators, no, fix it. Fix that bill. So until tomorrow or the next day or the next day or the next day or the day after that, and with the New Year's coming up, stay safe, everybody, and be kind. But we need to tell these idiots on Monday, no, y'all fix this mess. But until that time, we'll see. I love you all. Take care. Stay warm. And if you got a four-legged, pet your dog, your cat, or your weasel, or ferret, or let's see, what else has got four legs? Ooh, turtles. So have a good day. Have a good evening. And cosmic hugs, everybody. Ween and TTFN from South Georgia. And yes, Michelle, I got a butt cramp just for you.